Do you ever feel like no matter how hard you try, someone's negativity always seems to pull you down? Or maybe you have a friend or a family member who always seems to be the unlucky one, constantly facing challenges and complaints in life. Well, law of power number 10, avoid the unhappy and unlucky, tells us that negativity and misfortune can be contagious. In this episode, we are going to discuss how being around people who are emotionally or energetically unhealthy, quote unquote, can hold you back from reaching your full potential, and how you can actually start to protect yourself to become the most happy, the most balanced, the most radiant version of you. Okay, and still doing that in a way that is fair, that is kind to others. So let's begin with understanding the gravity of negative energy and the impact of that negative energy on you. Because it's so easy to assume that we can just help people who are struggling with negativity or misfortune. Let me know in the comments if you were raised, always do what you can to step in and help someone and save the day. Let me know if you know anybody who does this, okay? Who, when someone appears to have a problem, rather than waiting for them to ask you or seeing that they really need your help, you know someone who just always seems to step in, almost to the point where they're just getting involved in things that really aren't always, it's not always appropriate to do so. But it's easy to assume that you can just fix everything, you can just help someone, you can just give them advice and that will be fine and that will be solved. We think that we can lift them up and fix their problems. But what if I told you that, well, there's two serious drawbacks to doing this. But what if I told you that spending too much time with these people might be affecting you more than you realize? And let me tell you, it's also affecting them more than you realize. And I just want to bring a new perspective to this conversation. Obviously, I've taken this concept from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, but it's really, really relevant. He does title these chapters sometimes in a very, what I would call, clickbaity way, but really, there is so much weight behind what he's saying, and I want us to think about this today. So think about it. How do you feel after a conversation with someone who constantly complains, is always the victim, or seems to be stuck in a cycle of bad luck? Often, we just walk away from that interaction feeling drained, feeling heavy, feeling mentally exhausted. We just need to be alone. We need to recharge. Okay, it doesn't lift us up. So let's make the connection here. Negative energy is contagious, okay? People's emotions and mindsets can infect you, even if you don't intend to take on their stress or unhappiness. They are transferring it to you if you do not protect your energy and if you do not allow this to happen to you. So we must learn to distinguish between helping someone and absorbing their emotional baggage, because the two are very closely linked. And when you start to recognize this dynamic, you're going to find that this is the key to protecting your own energy and staying on track towards your goals. And I also want to make the very important point that if you are not asked specifically for support or assistance from someone else, then how on earth, why are we just assuming that they need our help, that they need us to come in and rescue them and save the day? I actually think that people were born with certain challenges. People were born with certain things to overcome in their lives. And we could actually be robbing them of the opportunity to really build so much character in themselves by hitting the point where they realize, actually, now I'm ready to change. Now I'm ready to do something. Now I'm ready to make, significant progress in my life. But sometimes everyone's different, right? It might just take you a few, a few different scenarios to say, oh, okay, I see this coming up. I don't want this to progress. I'm going to stop here. But for some people, it may take a lot more experience in a negative light for them to actually see that and take that mindset shift, whatever this may be. So let's move on, okay? Because the key here, I don't want to stress too much on that, but remember, if you're asked for help and you can provide that help, you absolutely want to do it within reason. If it's feeling like it's something that's got, balance for both of you, you can do it. It's going to be useful, it's going to be helpful. But the key is not feeling like we are the ones who can solve their problems, okay? And the key here is not to abandon people, but to actually set healthy boundaries around how much you allow their energy to impact their lives, because you're actually taking their power away by thinking, oh, I can only solve this problem. This is a me thing. I have to solve. I have to do it. I'm more powerful. God is not as powerful as me. I'm the only one that can do this. So while we all face challenges from time to time, and some people more than others, some people do consistently find themselves in situations where everything feels like it's going wrong. And no matter how much they try, they feel, and they love to tell you, that they're stuck in a cycle of bad luck and they have no way out. And they literally won't listen to a thing you have to say to uplift them. And if you're a positive person like me, you probably don't have too much of this in your life. But it can be hard to watch someone close to you suffer. It really can be. But it's also important to understand their power. They were born with the power. They have exactly the same amount of power inside of them. They have God inside of them. And they are capable. But we don't know what else they're facing. We don't know what else is going on in their life. And we actually don't know what's going to be the catalyst of change for them. And sometimes by just softening the blow, we actually prevent them from just reaching the point where they're ready to make the change. But also, it's important to understand and recognize how their continuous misfortune can actually affect your own mindset and your energy. So being around quote unquote unlucky people can drain your motivation. It can shift your focus away from your own success, and it can keep you caught in negative conversations or problem-focused mindsets. And it keeps your energy low. Okay, now I'm not saying do not, totally avoid them, like never speak. It's like, just limit the contact, the type of conversation, and, yourself. You were born with the ability to distinguish what's good and what's not good for you. And there may come a time where you have to have a little bit of distance. But the key here is not to abandon people, as you see here. It's just to set those healthy boundaries, and it's to protect yourself energetically. You don't have to take on their misfortune or allow their negative outlook to influence your own, because when you do that, it takes your mind away from all the incredible things that you're creating, all the incredible things that you're doing for the world. So we don't want to let our energy leak out so much that it prevents us from bringing light to the world. Okay, and some people in your life are so receptive and open to your light. So when we try and focus our time, our energy, our light on the people who are at that point, they are willing to actually see the light and to be part of that and multiply it, amplify that out in the world, that's when you're going to make the biggest positive change. So let's move on, because what I want to do is I want to help you to protect your energy and help you to set boundaries. We're not just reflecting in the book chapter. We're actually looking to say, well, how do we protect ourselves? How do we move on positively? And how do we preserve our energy while we're still being supportive, okay? Because we want to help, support, and we want to be there for others, not abandon them. So how do we do it? Well, here's some strategies. So the first one I would say is just limit your exposure. You don't need to cut off people entirely, but set boundaries for yourself around how much time and energy you will spend with those who drain you. If someone is constantly negative, try limiting the time you spend with them or take breaks from the relationship. This is one of the best things that you can do, and it also allows them the opportunity to make new connections, for example, and then, spend more time with people in the same energetic frequency at that point as them, which can be beneficial for all, okay? Because that can be a biggie, okay? The second one is about controlling the conversations. If you do spend time with these people, it's absolutely pivotal that you're starting to steer the conversation towards more positive topics or solutions. Now, if they're not interested in the solution-focused conversations that you're bringing up, you do need to say at this point, if you've gone on and on, listen, let's, even jokingly, like, let's get on to a bit more of a vibe topic here. Okay, because we want to feel energized after meeting up, not drained. Maybe they're getting energy from draining you. They're taking yours. You hear this phrase all the time, siphoning energy, but I don't think anybody, well, hopefully not, intentionally doing that. But genuinely, when your energy is leaking to someone else, you can say, listen, this topic is so heavy. I see you're going through this right now. I get it, but we've talked this to death now. This is my solution. You're not interested in hearing it. So maybe we have different opinions on this. Maybe I'm not the best person to discuss this with. Now let's move on because I value your friendship, blah, 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 whatever. And this is how we put it. And we try and put it in more of a sort of joking way if you can joke about it a little bit more and just say, hey, come on, let's shift this conversation now. Because you can listen to their concerns, offer support, but you can still maintain your emotional balance. And it's absolutely important that you do that. Sometimes you'll know people who will send you random things. This has happened to me with people close to me. They will tell me, so like, what's going on in your life, and when you meet them, you haven't seen them for a while, and it's like, oh, so-and-so died. Like, I'm not joking. So-and-so died last week. This person is doing this, and it's like negative. And then someone else, some other time they might text you things of like disasters that are happening and all this. And it's like, I have literally had to say to people, can you not send me that? I've made it very clear to these people as well. I tell them, I do not watch the mainstream media. I do not read these tabloids. I am very selective about where essentially my I'd say media diet. I'm very careful about that. I'm rarely on social media. If I'm not producing this content for you, or if I'm not looking at a product or a service, I'm not on social media. So I am very conscious about the content I consume. And so I do make it known to people when they just keep coming at me with all the negative doom and gloom stories. I'm like, look, I'm not here in a bubble trying to be oblivious, but I'm just saying that there are lots of good things going on. Share them with me instead, okay? I'm not the person to be sharing the disasters and all this, and it doesn't really happen anymore, so that's good. But sometimes you just have to say, listen, something may be causing you anxiety in your life. Maybe you're going through a lot, and then people are trying to hit you with all this other stuff, and you're just like, look, I just need a bit of a break right now from all this. Just let's keep it light. And you can, and people will hopefully listen to you. And if they don't listen to you, you can just say, hey, listen, we've talked about this before. I'd rather not receive this information. If you keep going with it, what we're doing is we're just dampening our friendship. We are really just, we're not really going anywhere. So I'm going to have to pull back a bit if this continues. I am very lucky to say that this isn't any of my friends. My friends are amazing human beings. They are just like gold to me. So these are other people. But some people do have a habit of that kind of thing, and that's fine. But if they do take into consideration what you're saying, being respectful, then it shouldn't be a problem. You can move on. So, and don't get caught up in the negativity, and don't be afraid to say, hey, listen, I'm not liking this conversation. We've talked it to death. Let's move on now. And I just want to finish with the final point that there is such a state as giving your energy and being in your best energy without absorption, okay? So it is possible to empathize with someone's struggles, but without absorbing their emotional state. And that's something I always find quite difficult, because it's hard when you see someone going through something, you feel that certain way, but what you need to start thinking in your mind is, oh, no, they're big enough for this. They might say something like, if it's to do with our mind, body, and spirit. You might say the human body was born to be amazing. It was born to thrive. It was born to regenerate. It was born to do all this. So they've got this. I'm sending them all my power. I know they've got this. And that is the way you reframe things. Even if it's things, that's troubling them mentally, you can still say that. You can say that, I know that their body is going to be emotionally balanced soon, because that's the way the body's designed. Every part of us can evolve, grow, and essentially get back into equilibrium. So you can start to listen to their concerns and offer support, but still maintain that emotional balance, okay? So remind yourself that their problems are not your own to fix. It's theirs. That's their gift. Okay, can you think in your life the hardest times you've ever had and you've got through them? I can think of some times where I've literally been close to breaking point and giving up on whatever I was doing, but getting through that was the biggest gift ever, because it taught me perseverance. It taught me so much. It gave me inner strength, so much strength that I can get through whatever happens in life. So if people had just stepped in and almost tried to save me from that, sometimes when I've been going, no, not sometimes, literally my husband is one of the only people who goes through things with me. He knows what's going on in my life. He keeps me balanced, but I will never share with my family members when I'm going through anything big. I just don't do it, because I don't need any sort of, and I'm talking about my own family. I will not, my own family do not know half of the things that I've had to go through in my life. They don't know it because I do not share things. Sometimes when you come from a background of people want to tell you what to do and give their own advice and almost try and not even suggest, this is what you should do. And some people do enjoy being wrapped up in other people's problems. And actually, sometimes it's your problem to fix. And it can make you a lot calmer. If there's anything I've ever needed to tell my family, for example, with my most recent childbirth, I had a home birth, but I had to go back into hospital for an operation and stuff, and that was a really scary time for me because I didn't know what was going to happen. I had to go under the anesthetic, various things. I didn't know, there could have been complications, all that kind of thing. And also it was just terrifying for me being in that environment. That's not an environment that's good for me. And I didn't say to one family member about it. I was actually contacting friends about it. My friends were like, how are you? And I'm cheering with them because I didn't need anybody else's energy interfering. I needed a clear mind. And that's the word, interfere. You don't need interference. You need a clear mind. And yeah, afterwards I would say, hey, just to update you, this happened. And I don't always, when it comes to things that I've been through that have been really hard for me, I just have to take it on myself, get through it and become that stronger person, because it doesn't help. And you're not doing anything for yourself by sharing. So sometimes it's the same for these people. They need time to themselves. They don't need everybody looking in on their lives and suggesting and saying, oh, this is what's going to happen, and trying to rescue them on some white horse. It's not always that easy. So just let's finish up today with remembering that your energy is precious. And it's essential that you protect it from people and situations that bring you down, but also in that you're also giving them a gift. And if you're caught up in this at the moment, and if you're ready to break free from that negative influence, you feel yourself surrounded like that, and you want to cultivate a more empowering environment for yourself, but you really can't see the next step or how you would phrase these conversations or how you would get there, then you can start by taking the Spark Activation. There's going to be more information below. It is a personalized deep dive, essentially, that will help you to identify areas where the negativity is draining you, how you can reclaim your power in life. You can find out more via the link below. But I want you to comment today, I protect my energy and choose positivity, because this is going to be your biggest, most powerful breakthrough if you can just do it. And living in that flow state and protecting your energy if you're going to be in situations that can be challenging for you like this is going to be your biggest asset. So thank you for joining me today. I'll see you in the next episode, and do check out the Spark Activation, and maybe I'll see you there.